Hello and welcome to 700 Club Israel. Today we're going to share with you the answers to some of life's biggest questions. Why marriages fail, why IKEA succeeds. You'll find out how to win in business and why the 2004 USA Olympic basketball team lost the match. Well, as Mark Gerson writes, the answers can be found in a book written thousands of years ago.
Mark Gerson is a best-selling author, prominent Jewish entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist. As co-founder of African Mission Healthcare, he partners with Christian missionary doctors to provide clinical care, infrastructure, and training for the poor in Africa. In his latest book, God Was Right, Gerson explores how the Torah's ancient wisdom aligns with contemporary findings in social science, offering practical answers to some of life's most pressing questions.
Well, Mark is here with us now. He's a dear friend. We've worked together on African Mission Healthcare for many years now. He's a wonderful example of what can happen when you just say yes to God. You are getting ready to go to Israel, and you're going to walk down what's called the pilgrimage route from the Pool of Siloam to the Temple of Mount. Is this the first time this is going to be open in like 2,000 years?
Yes, it is. This is at Ir David, which is really the most important and indeed sacred place in Israel. This is the original city of Jerusalem, and whenever my wife and I go there, and we've been going for now 20 years, we are constantly amazed by the new discoveries that testify to the biblical Jerusalem, which is being realized, recognized, and unveiled in our day.
I've got to ask that, in the current conflict with Hamas and what's going on with Gaza, what's your interpretation? What advice does the first 5 books of the Bible give to the Jewish people, to Israeli leadership? How should they respond appropriately to what Hamas is trying to do?
Well, so many things. First, all throughout the Bible, all throughout the Torah, we see references to the land. And what God clearly wants is for us to get into the land and to become a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. And the Torah can really only happen in the land. So to remove Israel from the Torah, or to remove Israel from the Jewish experience, is akin to removing the heart from the body. Israel is the heart of the Jewish experience and the Judeo-Christian experience. And all throughout the Bible, we see that there are enemies of the Jews, that there are enemies of Israel, starting with Amalek in Exodus. And what we have to recognize is that there are evildoers, there are evil people who want to do harm, the greatest harm they can, to the Jewish people, to the state of Israel, and to the great friends of the Jewish people. And we have to recognize evil people for what they are and deal with them accordingly.
The rabbis say that in every generation there arises a Haman who tries to wipe the Jews out. Is this our generation? Is this our moment?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The rabbis say it's in the Haggadah, which is the book that guides us through the most important Jewish event of the year, which is the Passover Seder. It says, in every generation there will be one who will rise up to destroy us. And right now it's Hamas, it's Iran, but every generation has one. They're typically not hard to identify. They're not hard to identify right now. It's Hamas and Iran, and the Israeli government, with United States support, which is so crucial, is doing everything to rid the world of these enemies of the Jewish people, of Christians, and of Western values.
Well, let's turn to your book. You've got some biblical clues for us that are backed now by modern science. So let's just start with marriage, which I think is the foundation of any spiritual life. It's the foundation of the Jewish people and foundation of every society. You say there's a test that can predict with 94% accuracy that will a couple stay together. What's the test?
So that's that's Dr. John Gottman, and a great relationship psychologist, he and his wife Julie Gottman, and they've determined they can determine with 94% accuracy whether a couple who's having issues is going to stay together. And they look for one thing, which is when the couple argues, do they argue with contempt or respect? And if they can disagree with respect, they're going to make it. If they disagree with contempt, they're not going to make it. And what's very interesting is the title of Dr. Gottman's podcast, which is all about how to have a happy marriage. And the title of the podcast is Small Things Often. So what constitutes a happy marriage according to the Gottmans? And This is absolutely in the Torah as well with regards to all kinds of things. What constitutes a happy marriage, how to have a happy marriage, or indeed how to have a happy life, how to have a successful business, is to attend to the seemingly small things, because there's no thing that's genuinely small. Everything is either meaningful or potentially meaningful in ways that the speaker or the actor may or may not know at the time. But small things often, that's the key to a happy marriage.
I've got to say amen. That is the key. You talk about the basketball team, the Olympic team that failed so spectacularly, and you know the reason why. So why?
The Bible knows the reason why, exactly. So, and the reason, how do we know the Bible knows the reason why? Because it's in Genesis, the battle of the 4 kings against the 5 kings. So Abraham, with only 318 men, is able to defeat the 4 great kingdoms of his time with only 318 men. So how does he do it? Well, the Bible tells us how he does it. He said the men were born in his home, they were prepared, they were coordinated, and they were motivated. And why is the Bible telling us this? The Bible is giving us so much insight in such a small passage, as it always does. It's giving us the formula for synergy. And the question that synergy asks is, how can a small force marshal its resources to do great things, far greater than its numbers? And the story of Abraham in the battle of the 4 kings against the 5 kings lays out perfectly the formula for achieving synergy, which is relevant for everybody, no matter what we do, in groups. And if you look at the 2004 U.S. Olympic men's basketball team, it's a team of individual superstars, all of whom were all-stars, many of whom were Hall of Famers, but they lost. And why did they lose? And so in God Was Right, in the chapter on synergy, I go through how, even though they were individually very talented, they were not acting in accordance with the way that Abraham and his men did in Genesis. In the 2004 Olympic team, they were not prepared. They were uncoordinated, not physically, of course, but they had multiple people at the same position who were not coordinated in who would get the ball and how and what the process would be. The motivations were questioned by the chef on the boat to Barcelona. And so what it shows is that, what Abraham shows is that a small group of people who follow the characteristics that are articulated in Genesis can do things far greater than their numbers would suggest. And if a very talented group of people don't have those characteristics, which are so clearly articulated in Genesis, they're going to fail.
All right, let's talk about the IKEA effect. And it's one of the examples. So what is the Bible lesson, the God-given lesson we learn from that?
Well, it's such an interesting question or instruction that the Bible gives. So what the Bible says is 6 days you shall work. Not 6 days work shall be done, but 6 days you shall work, teaching us that there's something deeply important, even sacred, to the work that we do. So what the Bible is telling us, what the Bible is teaching us, is that work is not something you do to collect a paycheck so you can do what you really want to do. The Bible is telling us is that work is deeply important for the thriving of the human soul. And in fact, Shabbat, which is our holy day of the week, Shabbat only makes sense if it follows and precedes 6 days of work, because you have to rest from something, so you have to rest from work. Shabbat would make no sense if you were resting for the previous few days, then what's a day of rest about? So what the Bible tells us is that work is so important and sacred and should be treasured and deeply valued by everybody who works. And interestingly, it doesn't say paid work. It doesn't say 6 days you shall do paid work. It says 6 days you shall work. So someone who volunteers and is needed and relied upon in their volunteer activities is absolutely fulfilling the biblical obligation to work. And what the IKEA effect showed, and this was a study from, I believe, 2011, it showed that we value things to the extent we work on them. And it's in the Torah, it's amplified in the Talmudic, the ancient Jewish literature, that says that people value things to the extent they work on them. And what the IKEA effect showed is that people value furniture, and I showed all kinds of other things, more to the extent that they constructed them with their own hands than if they got them store-made.
I can say an amen to that. When I was early in law practice, I had to build my own bookcase for my law office. I still have that thing.
Wow. I could have used that example in the book.
Here we are, that was 1984, so it's been a long time, but I still have it, I still value it because it was my effort that went into it. And I definitely wasn't getting paid for that, but I needed it for the books. It's a great book. We're out of time. I wish we had more. That's a great example. God was right. How modern social science proves the Torah is true. It is a big book. It's a very thick book, but it's full of information and insight. It'll absolutely encourage your faith and encourage you to read even more of the Bible. And it's available in bookstores nationwide. I encourage you to get it. Mark, thank you for the insights. Thanks for being with us.
Gordon, so great to be here. Thank you.
All right. Israel is known for its innovative technologies that provide solutions to problems all over the world. Well, now one Israeli company is taking on a frustrating issue: traffic. Paul Strand reports from Tel Aviv on a system that's aimed at clearing traffic jams and improving safety.
Traffic, everybody hates it. But one Israeli company has come up with a system to make traffic flow much more smoothly, that can turn lights exactly when needed, warn drivers away from potential accidents, and unsnarl rush hour commutes.
It's an invention of No Traffic, headquartered here in Tel Aviv. When the company is enlisted to take over a community's traffic system, No Traffic puts these sensors at intersections that then connect to sophisticated artificial intelligence.
And from that point on, the system works by itself autonomously.
CEO Tal Kreisler says these artificial eyes then watch movements in and around those intersections.
Private vehicles, buses, pedestrians, bicycles, scooters, whatever.
AI then proceeds to orchestrate traffic flow in order to keep it moving safely and quickly. That's led to amazing improvements in limiting the time motorists are held up.
We've managed to cut dramatic amount. We're talking about 70% of delay time.
With vehicles more computerized than ever, this new system will be able to communicate directly with individual drivers. That could lead to a warning about a pedestrian potentially in a blind spot about to cross in front of them. Another safety element is the system's ability to gauge if an oncoming vehicle might run a red light. If so, it can alert nearby drivers while also changing other lights to red at that intersection to prevent collisions. When accidents do happen, it can immediately contact first responders, then give them green lights all the way.
About 70% of fatality cases happening in the first hour after the accident. So literally every minute that we are saving, literally saving life.
Research shows an updated traffic system is sorely needed worldwide. That's because an additional 90 million cars hit the road each year. Traffic congestion increases 12% annually. As for those lights that hold you up block after block,
the way that we are operating them is remained the same for the last 100 years or so.
And there's little to no connection from intersection to intersection.
Most of the intersections out there are not connected to anything. They just run by themselves.
With No Traffic sensors and artificial intelligence saturating a city's traffic grid, it enables each intersection to communicate with all the others. That allows the system to make split-second decisions to keep traffic moving. These sensors are designed to withstand the wear and tear that comes from constantly being out in the elements. Ian Fountain and his lab techs ensure each piece can stand up to the most extreme conditions.
We put them in the ovens, we heat them, we cool them, we add humidity.
In Fahrenheit, that's a range from -31 to a super hot 167 degrees. Now that a number of states like Florida, Arizona, and California utilize the system, No Traffic has found that in a mid-sized city, its platform has reduced waiting times by as much as 50% or more. That efficiency can remove around 26,000 tons of CO2 emissions each year. That's like the pollution from 5,700 cars simply vanishing. To Kreisler, it's all positive transformation.
Improving our life, reducing emissions, generating massive amounts of time that we can now spend with our loved ones. And I think this is one of the things that we are the most proud of, like literally transforming the world to a better place.
The atmosphere and attitudes in Israel make it easier for an innovative system like No Traffic's to be created here. Innovators are welcomed and cherished. Smart forward thinking is valued and rewarded. And Israelis see themselves as people who can solve global problems, both large and small, who can dream up solutions not yet seen, but waiting to be dreamed. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Tel Aviv.
Well, yet another example of the incredible ingenuity that's coming out of the tiny nation of Israel. When you look at a map and just the geographic area, it's absolutely small compared to all the nations around it, whether it's Jordan or Egypt, or even Lebanon, but Turkey, Syria. All these nations have so much more in terms of geographic area and in terms of population, but you don't see this kind of innovation coming out of them. They're fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah. I will make you a light to the nations. And when you talk to average Israelis, whether they're observant or not observant, whether they've read Isaiah or haven't read Isaiah, they all universally say we're supposed to be a light to the nations. We're supposed to be an example for all the people around us of what can happen. The creativity that's being released is absolutely incredible. So here's a tiny nation about the size of the state of New Jersey, and they're putting out all these wonderful innovations. I encourage you to check it out. There's a wonderful book about Israeli innovation. We did a movie on Made in Israel showing a lot of the medical breakthroughs, water breakthroughs, agricultural breakthroughs. Literally in every field we're seeing it. And it's wonderful to see its prophecy being fulfilled before our eyes. Well, in the area hardest hit by the October 7th attacks, many children are still dealing with severe trauma. So CBN Israel is bringing help directly to them in a way that they can understand.
Eshkol Regional Council, a community on Israel's southern border, has long been a target. Thousands of rockets and incendiary balloons have fallen here, but nothing compares to the unimaginable horrors of October 7th, 2023. The returning families aren't just coming home, they're navigating a new reality. They face the constant, present danger of a war still being fought, all while trying to heal from the trauma of what they've already endured.
Since before October 7th, we already knew that animal-assisted therapy is very, very helpful and effective in treating trauma. Since October 7th, there's been a rise in need for therapy, especially with kids, to almost 100% of people who live here. And then what ends up happening is there's a huge waiting list of kids who really, really could use some trauma therapy, but not enough therapists or facilities. And the idea was that if we can bring the therapy to the kids and we can really help lower the waiting list and provide therapy to as many more kids as we can. The Kill Down Whip Animals goes with me where I take it. I hook up my car with a friend. I can take it wherever it needs to go. And this way I can bring it to them. So the first place that we came to was we decided to park ourselves for the first few months in the school. The school is located in Eshkol, which is the area that was hit the hardest from October 7th.
Working alongside the Israel Trauma Coalition, we've discovered the devastating impact of this crisis on children. There is a desperate need to treat the severe trauma they have experienced.
If I know that there's a situation with a home, most kids who live here in this area, there's a problem with their home, whether they have one or don't have one. I mean, what happened to their home or what happened while they were in their home. So when I bring out a turtle and the turtle is going in and out of his home, his house, it brings up a lot of conversation. When they say, why isn't he coming out? Maybe I'll push him out. And I say, well, if you were in your house right now, would you want someone to take you out with strength, or would you rather you come out when you're comfortable and when you want to? And it's not me saying that that's what happened necessarily. I'm literally just helping them bring up an idea in their head. And sometimes without actually talking about what happened to them, they're able to do some emotional work around that. And sometimes they feel comfortable enough because of the setting to bring up what happened in their home. It's two things. It's the child and the animal, and then what they bring together, and then the therapist, if it's me or other therapists that work in the caravan, what they do with what's happening in the room. Before October 7th, the organization that we provide therapy in, which is Holsen, had 20 therapists, give or take, and today they have more than 200. And it's not enough.
That's why CBN Israel has provided an animal therapy caravan. It's a safe space where children can find comfort and begin to heal from the trauma they've experienced.
Thanks to CBN, I was able to bring the caravan here. I already provide an extra 30 hours of therapy that weren't provided before. So whether some of those are groups of 3 kids, it's already times 3 for those groups. And whether it's one-on-one for the kids that we think that it's more important to give them the one-on-one, that in itself is huge, because we lack therapists and we lack the facilities. And the animal-assisted therapy is super helpful. And to be able to bring the animals to them is bringing not just therapy, but it's bringing a really unique and successful type of therapy.
Well, that's just one of the things that CBN Israel is doing. And it's so important to provide this trauma counseling, not just for the children, but also for the adults. The trauma afflicted on that entire country as a result of the attack in October. It's been now 2 years, but it just, you look at it and the horror of it lingers. And what can we do? Well, here's what CBN Israel is doing. We're partnering with Regent University. Regent University has one of the top psychology counseling programs in Virginia. The head of it is now on the Virginia State Board of Psychology. It's a wonderful program. That program at Regent was part of the Ukraine relief when Russia attacked. It's sent numerous teams to train first responders how to recognize trauma, how to deal with trauma symptoms, and then we're partnering with the Israeli Trauma Coalition to have both a center just outside of Jerusalem and train even more counselors to how to deal with it. And then the very practical, how do we have this wonderful outreach to children right where they experience the trauma so that they can have the hope and the help that they need. If you want to be a part of this is just one piece of what CBN Israel is doing. There's so much more we're doing for the evacuees, for immigrants, all kinds of humanitarian aid, livelihood programs, all being done in your name when you're a partner with CBN Israel. So if you want to join with us, call us 1-800-350-2230. That's a special number, 1-800-350-2230. You can go to cbn.com/support Israel, or you can text support Israel to 71777. Either way, let your voice be heard. Let us stand together with Israel to let them know we're with you in this. In the middle of these horrible struggles, you can count on us. We want to stand with Israel. Here's a word from the book of Daniel. How great are his signs, how mighty his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation.